So when when we say like inheriting multiple base classes means it is called multiple inheritance. Okay. So in this diagram, actually, we will not get confusion. That is the difference between multiple and multi-level. Okay. Because we observe the words multi-level and multiple. Okay. Both are not same, and let us not get a confusion here. See, multi-level means more than one level. So level means if we consider like three classes are there. So A, so this is first level. If we consider A, this is first level. Then B, second level. Okay, three, third level. Okay. So if you draw the line here, you will come to know. Okay, for A, it is first level, B, second level, C, third level. But in case of multiple, what happens? Two levels are there. So A and B comes in first level. Okay, C comes in second level. Okay, only two level. In case of multi-level, it is three levels are there. So in multi-level inheritance, minimum we can consider like three levels. Then only we can say multi-level. Okay. If you consider only A and B, it becomes single level inheritance. Okay. So in case of multiple, what happens? In the first level itself, that is in the base class itself, we will be having two base classes. If you observe this diagram, base class 1, base class 2. So A is the base class, B is the base class. A and B are the base classes. C is the derived class. So for a given derived class, if there are two or more base classes, okay, two or more base classes are there, then you can say multiple. Okay. So according to this diagram, we will come to know. So there are two base classes A and B. C is the derived class. It is multiple inheritance. So if that is the case, then what is the functionality we see? Okay, for multiple inheritance. So it is possible for a derived class to inherit two or more base classes. Okay, that means when we consider the derived class can get the properties of two or more base classes. Then it is called as multiple inheritance. Derived class, if the derived class has the capacity, or if the derived class acquires the properties from two or more base classes, okay, then it is multiple. So in this diagram only you can understand, C is the derived class. It is acquiring the properties of base class A plus the properties of base class B. Okay, so C is acquiring the properties of two base classes here. It can be more base classes also, more than two also, 3, 4, like that. It can have more than two base classes also, but minimum two base classes. Okay, so C is acquiring the properties of class A. C is also acquiring the properties of class B. In this case, it is called multiple inheritance. Okay, so it is possible for a derived class to inherit two or more base classes. For example, in the following program, derived means it is the class name. So derived is the class name. That is derived class name. Inherits both base 1 and base 2. So base 1 is the first base class, base 2 is the second base class, you can consider. Okay. So now we will see this program. So what it is. Okay. See here. Class base 1. So this is the base class 1. So you can consider, according to diagram, you can consider like this is the class A. Okay. Next, class base 2. So according to the diagram, you can consider like class B here. Okay. Next, coming to the derived. So derived means it is the derived class. So for this one you can consider like class C. Okay. So class A, class B, class C, nothing but base 1, base 2, derived. Okay. So wherever you come across base 1 class, you can consider like class A. Okay. And wherever you come across base 2 class, you can consider like class B. Okay. So derived class. Next, see in base class, that is base 1, that is in class A, we have one protected data member and one member function which belongs to public access specifier, that is in the public section. Okay, so in the protected section we have the data, so that is we can consider x. Okay, sorry, x as the data. Okay, x is the data, and coming to the show x, this is the member function. Okay, so which is in the public access specifier, in the public section of the class member function. Okay, then coming to the class B, so here also I can consider y as the data. Okay, which is in the protected section. Okay, Next, show y is the member function. Okay, so we have y the data and the show y function, that is the member function which is in the public access sphere for class base 2. Okay, that is for class B. Next, coming to the derived class, see there is no private and protected data, but we have the member function which is present in the public section. Okay, so this is the derived class. Now you see the format how they have written here: class derived colon, okay, class derived colon public base 1 public base 2. The meaning of this is, uh, see, C inherits from two classes, that is A and B. So from A the inheritance mode is public, from B the inheritance mode is public, that is both inheritance mode is public. If you consider this arrow marks, in case of multiple, A to C arrow mark is there, B to C arrow mark is there. From A to C you can consider public inheritance, from B to C also you can consider public inheritance. Okay, so now in this case, see for example, if I write public base 1, it is not a rule that for base 2 also you should write public. You can change here. Either you can private, either you can write private, protected, or public, whatever it is. It is not compulsory that both should be public. Okay. So in this example, they have given both inheritance mode as public. We will see what happens. Okay. Now, if a derived class inherits base class in the public access specifier mode, that is inheritance mode is public, what happens is protected members of the base class becomes the protected members, public members of the base class becomes the public members. That means there will be no change in the status. Okay, if the inheritance mode is public, there will be no change in the status. Observe this diagram. Okay, so if the inheritance mode is public, there is no change in the status. See, public members of the base class becomes the public members of the derived class, protected members of the base class becomes the protected members of the derived class. That means there is no change. Okay, so according to this, so let me see in the example how we can analyze. Okay, see here. Okay, see how we can consider is, so this X data becomes the protected member of C, because in class A it is protected member, so you should not change the status. Okay, you should not change the status. If the inheritance mode is public, there will be no change in the status. If it is protected, it is protected in the derived class. If it is public, in derived class also it is public. Okay, this is one case. Next, in base 1, that is in class A, we have the function which is in public section. So we can bring this function in public section like this. Okay, like this you can understand. So now here I write data X. Okay, data X belongs to, or we can say data X from base 1. Okay, that is class A, because you should not get confusion here. So this data from where we have taken, that means how it is derived, that is from base 1 class A data X. Now, and this function also, member function show X again from base 1. Okay, that is A. So now it is clear. Okay, next. Now from one more class derived inherits, that class is base 2, right? So there is one more class called as base 2. Now we will see in base 2 what are the data and functions. So in base 2 we have the data Y, which is in protected mode. So this this status also will not be changed in derived class. So you can think like this, Y. So data X from base 1 and Y from base 2. So that is B. Okay, so you should not get confusion here. X from A, Y from B. That is base 1, base 2. Okay. Next, so there is one function called as show Y. So we can consider this function, and we can consider like it comes in the public section of derived class. So we can consider member function show Y. So member function show Y, it is from base 2. Base 2 is nothing but, sorry, B class. Okay, fine. So this much we have understood. Okay, so because inheritance mode is public, status will not change. Protected data will be protected data in derived class. Public data will be public data in derived class. Whether it is member function or data member, whatever it is, status will not change. Next, coming to the main function, we will see how it is called. ob.set. Okay, ob is an object which belongs to derived class. Okay, what about set function? Where is the set function? See, set function is in derived class. See, this member function, okay, it is not derived from any class. It is its own. Okay, I can say it belongs directly derived class, because we should not get confusion here. So it belongs directly to derived class, its own. So this function belongs to derived class. Whereas show x from base 1 that is a class A, show y from base 2 that is class B. So this function directly belongs to class A, that is derived class. So only if you create the object of derived class, you can directly call the function of derived class. Understood? So if you create the object of derived class, you can directly call the function of derived class. So only ob.set of 10, 20 is correct. So this function will be called. Now coming to the ob.showx, we will see what is the case. Ob object belongs to derived class, whereas showx function is present in class A, but still we can access because it is inherited. It is inherited. So inheritance mode is public. So this entire function you can consider like it comes in the public section of the derived class. So this class, this function can be accessed. Okay. See, while executing internally, the computer will not show us this much. Okay. If you observe, it will not show. When you observe, program control directly come to the class A and it will execute. While understanding for our sake, for ourselves, we can understand like this. If you write in this way, it will come to know. Okay. So this function will call, this line will call the showx function. Similarly, ob.showy. Okay. See, in the comments I have written from base 2. That means show y function belongs to base 2 class, that is B. Show x function belongs to base 1 class, that is class A. Set function belongs to derived class, that is C. Okay. Here also I can write. C class. So this is class A. Okay. This is class B. Okay. In this way we can understand. Okay. Now let me see what happens when the functions are called. Okay. See, when ob.set function is called, 10 is copied to I, 20 is copied to J. In turn, I value is copied to X, J value is copied to Y. See, you observe variable X belongs to class A, that is base 1. Variable Y belongs to class B, that is base 2. But still we are storing the values. How it is possible? Because X and Y inherited in derived class. So only you can store the values. Okay. See, if it is, if the data members are private or protected, you can store the values. For storing the value, it's not a problem. If you want to write in member function, private data cannot be accessed. That you have to remember. Okay. So 10 will be copied to X, 20 will be copied to Y. So for object OB, for variables X and Y, values are 10 and 20. For object OB, for variables X and Y, values are 10 and 20. Now, if you call the show X function, X value will be displayed. If you call the show Y function, Y value will be displayed. Okay, show X function displays the X value, show Y function displays the Y value. Okay. Now you can go through this diagram. If you come across any doubt, you can ask. So afterwards we will see the execution of this program. Okay. Okay. So this is the program. So we will see here. See some comments is like. Whenever we put the comments, so you have to put the / symbols, and these lines are not executed actually. So if you make any mistake also, it's not a problem while typing. instead of capital letters, small letters, capital letters, and spelling mistakes. Don't worry. Okay, these lines are not considered for execution. Okay. Next, coming to the program. See here also. See, I have written in a comment format. So within the bracket I have written C, will not get any error. So here also. So within bracket I have written A, will not get any error. See, where you should not write ABC means, like when you write the class name. So while explaining, I have written A, right? So that one you should delete. Okay, this one you should delete. Either you write base 1 or you write class A. And this name A should be used in everywhere, wherever base 1 is there. Okay. Now we have considered base 1, right? Fine. So we'll try to execute this program. So first we'll compile, so whether we are getting error or not. So compile. So either Alt F9 you can press, or go to compile menu, press, click on compile option. So errors and warnings are 0. Next. Run. Okay, the values are 10 and 20. See, output is very simple. So let us not worry about much about output, but we will see how the program works actually. Okay. So program execution starts from main function. Okay. So next, object OB is created. OB.set. See, OB.set means object OB belongs to derived class. Set function also belongs to derived class. So both belongs to derived class only. There is no confusion. So automatically it is called. Okay, which is in derived class only. So it belongs directly to derived class. Not a problem. Okay. Next. So I value will be copied to X. J value will be copied to Y. Okay. Next, OB dot show X. Just a minute. So we'll try with. See here, top right corner, something is displayed. That is nothing but when you click on the object means if you want to know the memory of object OB. So memory of object OB means in object OB, what are the things are present, which variables are present, which functions are present. If you want to know what you do, see in the document I have written like a diagram. Observed box OB object X column, Y column. In the X column I have written some value, Y column I have written some value. Okay, but if you want to know in the editor, you just do like this. Go to debug option. There is an option called as debug, and in that you click on inspect option. Okay, there is a word called inspect. You press enter, click on that. You give the object name here OB. Okay, so when you click on OK and you press enter, you just observe here. Top right corner, that base 1 word is class name. Class name is base 1. Variable present in that is X. Okay. And the value assigned for that is 10. Because in the line OB.set of 10, 20, 10 will be copied to I, 20 will be copied to J, I value will be copied to X, J value will be copied to Y. So for variable X, the value is 20. For variable Y, the value is for variable X, the value is 10. For variable Y, the value is 20. Next, coming to the functions, you see by using object OB, which functions you can call, that also it is showing. See, which functions you can call: set function, show X function, show Y function. So for set function, it is not written any class name because it is understood that object OB belongs to derived class, set function also belongs to derived class. So nothing is written. But for show X and show Y, for show X, class name is base 1. For show Y, class name is base 2. Okay, and see, once again I'll explain about that. You just listen carefully. So on the top right corner, it will be displayed. If you press, if you want to know information about the object OB. So for object OB, variables it is considered as X and Y. But X belongs to base 1 class, Y belongs to base 2 class. Even though it belongs to base 1 and base 2 classes, it is showing for object OB which belongs to derived class. Why? Because it inherits X and Y variables, it inherits. That is derived class inherits. So it is showing. So for variable X, value is 10. For variable Y, value is 20. Now coming to the functions part. So in functions part, for function set, it is not showing anything. That is, it is not mentioning class name because object OB belongs to derived class, set function also belongs to derived class, it's not a problem. But coming to the show X and show Y, show X function belongs to base 1, show Y function belongs to base 2, but still by using object OB, it can be accessed. So only it is showing. If it is not accessible, So it will not show. It can be accessed. So it is showing. Now you see, for base 1 class, show X function is showing, right? You just observe how program control will flow. Directly move to the base 1 class. See. So in base 1 class, show X function is there. So it is moving to the show X function. So in that, it's very simple. It is displaying the value. That's all. Nothing much calculation or logic. It is just displaying the value of X. The thing is, you should understand how program control will flow from one line to another line. That too, from function call statement to particular function. Okay. Next, again, the program control will return to show y. That is ob.showY function. Again, you observe top right corner where that function is there. It is showing the class name along with the function name. It is showing the class name where it is present in base 2 class. It is present. So the program control should move to the base 2 class. You just observe here. See, it is moving to base 2 class. Understood? So and the value of y is displayed. Okay. Okay. So now it is ended. Got it? See, say once again when I will execute, you just observe carefully because this is the last program in the inheritance and it is the last topic in inheritance. You just listen carefully so that you can get all the inheritance concepts here. Okay. So program execution starts from the main function. Okay. Then clear screen, object OB. Okay. Now you can check OB. See. See for object OB. Variables x and variables y, variable x and variable y is considered. X from base 1 class, y from base 2 class. And functions regarding functions, show x, show y, set function. As I said, for show x and show y, class names are displayed. For set function, class name is not displayed because object OB belongs to derivative class. Set function also belongs to derivative class. So there is no confusion here. Okay, so it is not showing. Then coming to the values of x and y, see, if x and y values are assigned, so then it will show. If it is not assigned, so compiler will assign some default value. Okay, compiler will assign some default value. Okay, so till we assign the value, so it is 657 minus 2957 for some value is there. After assigning the value, you see how automatically it changes. See, now still it is not changing. Okay, after execution of x equal to I, then it changes. See, x value is changed, right? I think it is visible for you. X equal to 10 now. Then after execution of y is equals to y value is changed. See, y value has become 20. So x is 10, y is 20. Okay. Then coming to the show x. Show x belongs to base 1 class. So the program control will move to the base 1 class. See, okay. So it is just displaying the values. Next, so after completion of show x function, program control will come to the main function. So show y function belongs to base 2 class. So it is moving to the base 2 class. Okay. Understood? Okay. So this is the end of the program. Okay, before I go to the document, so in this program only, just I will hold on the editor only. If you have any doubts, you can ask.